Legacy Precious Metals is the company that I trust to give you good and patient counsel for investing in your retirement. The Biden administration has caused a financial crisis, and they have no clue how to fix it. Oil prices have skyrocketed, and when oil prices go up, not only do your expenses go up, but the cost of transportation and shipping spikes, leading the prices of goods to rise. And we are already seeing record inflation. That's the last thing that we need. Our economy is in trouble, and you need to take steps to protect yourself. If all your money is tied up in stocks, bonds, and traditional markets, you may be vulnerable. So gold is one of the very best ways to protect your retirement. No matter what happens, you own your own gold. It's real, it's physical, and it's always been valuable since the dawn of time. Call Legacy Precious Metals today at 866-528-1903 or visit them online at legacypminvestments.com. That's legacypminvestments.com, where you can download the free investor's guide. You can also go to my Facebook page, Jenna Ellis. I am a public figure on Facebook, and I just posted yesterday a really great interview with the president of Legacy Precious Metals, who is discussing why you need to start your retirement account even if you're in your 20s or 30s. There is always a great time to protect your retirement and invest, just like you want to protect your health over the long term. So go to Legacy Precious Metals at legacypminvestments.com or call 866-528-1903.
As a constitutional law attorney, former senior legal advisor, and personal counsel to President Donald J. Trump, Jenna Ellis believes in the rule of law and the importance of integrity in our elections. And she's ready to tackle the big cultural and legal issues facing America. This is the Jenna Ellis Show. Here is your host, Jenna Ellis.
Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of the Jenna Ellis Show. I'm Jenna Ellis, and the breaking news today is that Attorney General Merrick Garland has appointed a special counsel in the ongoing probe of the Joe Biden classified documents that we now know were held at least two locations. So the first location was his UPenn, quote-unquote, Biden think tank that was in Pennsylvania, and his private office that he used while he was sitting vice president. And the second location was revealed this morning as his private garage at his residence in Delaware. So how this ultimately influences that probe remains to be seen. But Merrick Garland came out this afternoon and made a very short perfunctory statement saying that he is appointing a special counsel. No one is above the law and equal protection of justice and all of those things. And then he walked off. He refused to answer any questions from the media, including a question that was shouted at him by a reporter as he was leaving the stage, asking him whether or not he had communicated or conferred with Joe Biden at any point before he made that statement. So, of course, Merrick Garland hasn't told us if he has advised his current boss on this ongoing probe, but he appointed a special counsel to look like there was no appearance of bias. He did the same thing with respect to Donald Trump and, of course, the special master that Team Trump ultimately asked for in the wake of the FBI raid of Mar-a-Lago was met with some hostility by the left-wing press and, of course, objections from the Department of Justice. And the court ultimately did appoint that special master, and that's still an ongoing issue as well. So then soon after the statement from the Justice Department and Merrick Garland, this statement came out from the White House on the continued cooperation with the Justice Department. So this was Richard Sauber, I hope I'm pronouncing that name right, a special counsel to the president. It says, quote, "As the president said, he takes classified information and material seriously. And as we have said, we have cooperated from the moment we informed the archives that a small number of documents were found, and we will continue to cooperate. We have cooperated closely with the Justice Department throughout its review, and we will continue that cooperation with the special counsel. We are confident that a thorough review will show that these documents were inadvertently misplaced, and the president and his lawyers acted promptly upon discovery of this mistake. So obviously, the White House the White House counsel rather is suggesting that this was just an inadvertent mistake. They are saying that Joe Biden did nothing wrong, and it will be very interesting to see what posture the Democrats now take on this when confronted with Joe Biden now having these classified documents. We believe, at least what has been reported, that they were top secret SCI classified materials that obviously were not even as safeguarded as they were at Mar-a-Lago with the classified or potentially classified documents there. President Trump, of course, has maintained that those documents were actually declassified with his unilateral authority as the then sitting president, but that they were kept in a storage facility that had a padlock, that had been inspected by the National Archives representatives, Secret Service, and so forth, and had been reviewed as a facility that was in keeping with the process for keeping that type of information. Boxes in the garage of Joe Biden's residence or an office that's on a university campus, those don't seem to have the same protocol measures in place as Mar-a-Lago. But when will the pre-dawn raids start? When will some of the other things that were attenuated very narrowly to the Mar-a-Lago situation and President Trump happen to Joe Biden? Well, of course, the answer to that is probably never. So what is really going on here? I think that we have to parse, again, the political questions versus the legal questions. So I addressed a lot substantively the legal questions a couple days ago in that podcast episode. If you didn't listen to that, I'd encourage you to go back and listen to that, and the classification versus declassification of a president versus a vice president and some of those substantive legal questions that I think with all of the facts that at least we know so far, it doesn't look like to me that not only has President Trump absolutely done nothing wrong, this was merely a document custody dispute. But even with what we know currently, unless more facts come out, I don't see that Joe Biden has committed an egregious felony level offense or anything that has genuinely been prosecuted under the Presidential Records Act for decades. So the political question, though, today, I think has gotten a lot more interesting because now that we have seen that there are multiple locations and we've seen that even the mainstream media is starting to question what's going on with Joe Biden and these classified documents, what's going on with this lack of a containment facility. And they're starting to get a lot of heat that's put on Joe Biden to the extent that the sitting attorney general is appointing a special counsel so that he doesn't look like he has an appearance of bias. My prediction and my thought on this, and I could be wrong, but my prediction is that the Democrats are going to use this as a pretext to dismiss Joe Biden, to remove him from eligibility, in their view, from running for re-election in 2024. And then they are going to turn around and say that just because they were fully, equal protection under the law and everyone has to be prosecuted under the same terms and all of those things, the rule of law covers everyone, et cetera, they are going to turn around and say, now we get to indict President Trump so that we can use the pretense of a conviction there or the 14th Amendment and, the clauses there to say that he is not eligible for office. Their ultimate goal, and I truly believe the Democrats would sacrifice anyone, including Joe Biden, on the altar of their cause to ultimately get Donald Trump. That has been their goal for the last 7 years plus, and they absolutely do not want him running for office. And so how the Democrats move in this lockstep sort of party, and what we've seen from the liberal leftists is that they are willing to eat their own and they are willing to sacrifice anyone that they deem is fungible to their overall operation if they get the outcome that they prefer. That's what they've done to American people. That's what they do to unborn babies. Literally, they would prefer to murder unborn babies on the altar of their cause of promoting the sexual revolution and getting the outcomes that they prefer. They are willing to brutally mutilate children in gender reassignment surgery to get to their ultimate cause and purpose, which is everyone's subservient and dependent on government. So of course, they're going to do something as far less immoral, and particularly in their view, as getting rid of someone like Joe Biden from office and saying you're not fit to run again, if they can then use the pretext of everyone is equal under the law to get the much, much bigger fish, which is Donald Trump. So my concern with a lot of the Republicans that are now coming out, and even the Trump War Room is tweeting a lot, and some of these other Republican federal office Twitter accounts, and some of these interviews by pundits, but also elected officials that are on mainstream media, when they are suggesting, oh yeah, we have to put the hammer down on Biden, they are rushing to judgment when we don't actually know whether or not the documents that were contained were declassified, whether they were allowed to be in Joe Biden's possession, what the actual facts and circumstances are here. There's a lot of fact finding that we still need to do. And just like I urged all of the liberal leftists in the wake of the Mar-a-Lago raid saying, this is unprecedented, this is ridiculous, you're rushing to judgment that all of a sudden, oh yeah, we got Trump, absolutely, for the 1700th time, the walls are closing in. And I said, well, wait, we need to fact find, and then we need to apply the law to the facts, and then we can start making our arguments. But everyone tends to rush to political judgment and to see what the political favorable outcome is to their side. And the problem here and the danger for Republicans and for conservatives is that their words are going to be used against them if Joe Biden ultimately resigns over this, or whether he is indicted, or whatever happens with the special counsel. But if circumstances are what they portend to be, there is a great likelihood that Joe Biden would resign. And then the words that Republicans are using to criminalize or politically indict him will then be used against them to prosecute and persecute Donald Trump. And I don't want to see that happen just because some conservatives and media pundits and even sitting Republicans want to get Joe Biden. This is not how we should ever operate in politics anyway. So even if we didn't have the possible outcome and consequence of having those words be used against Donald Trump, this is just a great example of why we always need to be fact finders first. We need to care about the rule of law over the political partisan theater, so that when we fact find and we are always on the side of the Constitution, we can always genuinely be on the side of the Constitution, and we don't have to defend and distinguish and parse depending on which particular partisan political figure we want to either take down or protect. That's politicking. That has nothing whatsoever to do with the rule of law. Now, if you're talking just about an election, your opinion, who you think is more fit for office in terms of the criteria with which you measure someone's worldview or their ideology or your preferences for public office, well, of course, we're going to support and champion the conservative candidates over the leftist liberals. And that is a disparity because there are genuine differences, and we can have advocacy and activism within the political spheres. But I'm talking about the facts and the law, which should not and do not change depending on who you're applying them to. So if Joe Biden and Donald Trump did or did not do the exact same thing, whether that relates to classified documents or it relates to, how they drive their car or how they play golf, right? The law should treat both of them fairly and equally, and justice truly should be blind. So it is incumbent upon us as conservatives and the people who want to uphold the rule of law and the U.S. Constitution in this country to watch what we are saying, so that we are not just hoping that Joe Biden gets into this situation and has to resign over it, when we are not being careful with the process or the legal mechanism that is being used to force that outcome. So I am very concerned that all of this looks like it is laying the groundwork for Joe Biden to potentially have some kind of consequence that ultimately requires his removal or resignation from office. And then that will be used as a pretext by the Democrats to say, hey, look, we were totally fair. And so now we want to apply that same quote unquote fairness to Donald Trump. But really, all they're doing is just taking out Joe Biden so that they can get Donald Trump. Now, again, this is speculation. I haven't heard anything from the Democrats who would ever admit something like this, but I would not put that past the Democrats to be that shady, that sinister, and that manipulative, because they manipulate laws all the time to their advantage. That's the entire role of judicial activism, and why it is so dangerous to the precedent of the rule of law is because if we are only concerned about political outcomes and we are not concerned about the precedent that's set, then any rule and any law can be manipulated to an advantage of nefarious actors. That is why we always have to protect the rule of law. And this is, by the way, as well, and I know I keep bringing up this example, but this is why I'm very publicly opposed to what Ron DeSantis is doing in the state of Florida with respect to Disney. Now, there has been a lot of misinformation and a lot of just name calling, and I don't care about that in terms of what people call me or, what they ascribe as my motives or whatever, because it's totally false. And you can see that with everything that I've said. But what people are missing when they simply say, oh, you're defending Disney and, you don't care about the parental rights and education bill and all of that nonsense. No, what I don't want to have happen is that we champion an action from a government agent, a sitting governor of one of our 50 states, to intentionally target a major corporation that is in his state just because he doesn't like the particular ideology of that corporation or company. Or even worse, because that company had the audacity to use their power of lobbying against a bill and against a legislative measure that ultimately he signed and championed. We have to apply the same precedent in the state of Florida that we would want applied in the states of New York or California or any other blue state. And so if we want to talk about Disney's special district and whether or not that's awarding a special favor, listen, nobody was ever talking about Disney and Reedy Creek and this whole favoritism and somehow, we're leveling the playing field because no other corporations or theme parks in the state of Florida get those advantages. Only the Disney company. Well, I haven't heard Universal or any other theme parks in the state of Florida complain. They, to my knowledge, haven't applied for a special district and gotten denied on some basis that they would have qualified like the Disney company. If you've ever been to the state of Florida and you've ever looked at the difference between Walt Disney World and their expanse of land and their whole entire operation compared to other theme parks, there's a good reason that they're not exactly similarly situated. Just like some corporations in some states would apply for and have other benefits that may be in their favor, but ultimately they would qualify as opposed to another business, isn't necessarily always treating them unfairly. It's treating them dissimilarly. And as long as that is allowed by law, which in this context, no other theme park is at a particular disadvantage. They're not under the law or being treated as below the law. They simply aren't given a special privilege or advantage that Disney does. And we can talk about that all day. But my concern with this is that nobody was talking about it. A lot of people didn't even know that Reedy Creek existed or that Disney had this special privilege because the state of California and its residents have benefited from Disney in this capacity for as long, since the 1960s when the state of Florida passed this legislation authorizing this special district. Nobody's scared. But the only reason that the Florida legislature and that Ron DeSantis as the governor cares is because Disney went woke. Now, I totally disagree with Disney going woke. I was very publicly, before all of this stuff about Reedy Creek came up, I was very publicly opposed to Disney's statement that was against the parental rights and education bill. So get that very clear, everyone who, and all of the leftist media who, is reporting on this and, hello again and welcome, get this straight and get this correct, that I'm very publicly opposed to any sort of wokeness on behalf of any corporation. But what I am also opposed to is any government actor using their powers of government to oppose any corporation for expressing a constitutionally protected right to freedom of speech, even if it's speech that I fundamentally disagree with. So we have to always be concerned about precedent. Now, I asked one of Ron DeSantis's chief spokespeople today, Christina Pushaw, about this. And of course, she just came back with a talking point that we're leveling the playing field, and us blithely skipping over the salient question. Why now? How is this not retaliation when Ron DeSantis is specifically saying that Florida is where woke comes to die, right? So this is an example of exactly what I'm talking about with conservatives who maybe love what Ron DeSantis is doing in Florida. They love that preferred outcome of sticking it to Disney. And in the same way, they will love the preferred outcome of sticking it to Joe Biden. But the problem is going to be when that same precedent that they themselves championed is turned right back around and is applied to Donald Trump, or it's applied to Chick-fil-A or In-N-Out or some other Christian corporation in the state of California or in New York. Conservatives cannot be outcome driven in any situation. And I don't care what kind of criticism or commentary I get from the conservatives or from the leftists that will object to that based on these partisan preferences, because I am a constitutionalist. I am a genuine conservative. I am a lawyer who understands that the rule of law and maintaining our precedent absolutely matters to the process, due process, and the rule of law in this country. So you may not like it. You may not like that Joe Biden, if he doesn't get removed or have to resign from office, you may not like that. But if that is the appropriate legal conclusion, you cannot prefer the political outcome over what the law actually prescribes. That is what I want you to take away from this, and be very, very careful as Republicans and conservatives moving forward, looking at all of this document probe, the special counsel, and everything else. We have to be very, very careful what we are advocating for. And please always keep the legal questions, equal protection applied to everyone. Don't just jump to the political conclusions on any issue, but especially these two really good examples that have happened recently and are ongoing. Don't care about the political outcome more than you care about the Constitution and the rule of law. So it'll be very interesting to see what else happens in the Biden probe. That, who knows, it may distinguish the case. And yes, Joe Biden had criminal conduct where President Trump didn't. If those are two totally different situations, then the law would apply differently to them because they're different facts. Just like the law would apply differently to different people in different situations because they committed different acts or had different conduct. That's okay. That's not using the same or similar circumstances to unfairly or misapportionately apply the law in a way that prefers a partisan political outcome. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens next, but definitely stay tuned here to the Jenna Ellis Show, where I will always bring you this type of conservative constitutionalist commentary so that you get to the fact and the truth and the correct application of the rule of law over partisan politics. Tune in each and every morning on the weekdays from 8 to 9 a.m. Eastern on American Family Radio for Jenna Ellis in the morning, and I will see you soon. Legacy Precious Metals is the company that I trust to give you good and patient counsel for investing in your retirement. The Biden administration has caused a financial crisis, and they have no clue how to fix it. Oil prices have skyrocketed, and when oil prices go up, not only do your expenses go up, but the cost of transportation and shipping spikes, leading the prices of goods to rise. And we are already seeing record inflation. That's the last thing that we need. Our economy is in trouble, and you need to take steps to protect yourself. If all your money is tied up in stocks, bonds, and traditional markets, you may be vulnerable. So gold is one of the very best ways to protect your retirement. No matter what happens, you own your own gold. It's real, it's physical, and it's always been valuable since the dawn of time. Call Legacy Precious Metals today at 866-528-1903 or visit them online at legacypminvestments.com. legacypminvestments.com. That's legacypminvestments.com, where you can download the free investor's guide. You can also go to my Facebook page, Jenna Ellis. I am a public figure on Facebook. You need to start your retirement account even if you're in your 20s or 30s. There is always a great time to protect your retirement and invest, just like you want to protect your health over the long term. So go to Legacy Precious Metals at legacypminvestments.com or call 866-528-1903.
Have you ever picked up a towel set because it felt so soft in the store, but then when you leave and you go to use it, it's not really that absorbent? It's basically a towel that is leaving you out to dry. That's why MyPillow has developed the MyPillow towels that actually work. I know, it's totally mind-blowing. Towels that actually dry you. Their 6-piece towel set includes 2 bath towels, 2 hand towels, and 2 washcloths. They come in a variety of colors. I have the sage green and the white. I love them. And right now you can receive a 6-piece set for only $39.98 with promo code Jenna. That's Jenna. So go to mypillow.com right now and click on the radio listeners special. MyPillow products come with a 10-year warranty and have a 60-day money-back guarantee. So to receive this amazing offer on the 6-piece towel set of MyPillow towels, just go to mypillow.com, click on the radio listener special, and enter promo code Jenna, that's Jenna, or call 1-800-564-8475. That's mypillow.com, promo code Jenna.